Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're enjoying all the topics today on our big day of training at Compression Care. We're in the home stretch, and we're jumping into a really great topic this afternoon, and we've got a wonderful guest with us. I want to set the stage real quick. I've put a couple of links into the comments for you so you can access our big day of training resources page. This is where all of today's material for not only this session, but all the sessions is available there. And after this session, you can go there and you can take a short quiz, and it will give you a certificate of completion that you can use for submitting to your accrediting body and other things. We've also got all day today going on a Microsoft Teams virtual lounge where you can meet our team, ask questions, generally hang out. It's been really fun over there. I've had a few opportunities to jump over and see who's there, and been a lot of putting faces with names on both ends of the spectrum today. And so everybody's having a ball over there. I want to take a minute and introduce to you, I'm Steve Ludwig, one of the co-founders of Compression Care. My wife Pam was scheduled to be here. We're having a little bit of a our own medical crisis today, and so she is not here right now. But I do want to introduce you to Brittany Williams from the Pediatric Lymphedema Alliance and Brylan's Feet Foundation, which we're grateful to be part of here at Compression Care as a sponsor. And she's going to share an awful lot with you. And then I will do my best to stand in for my lovely wife. And we're going to talk a little bit about the uniqueness of pediatric patients throughout the process. And so I want to welcome Brittany Williams, and she's a wealth of information. We have the opportunity to see each other at conferences all the time. And her, I just saw a couple of months ago, saw Brylan running around in Canada, and I think she's probably a foot taller than that photo right there, but she's in that stage where she's probably growing like a weed, right?
Absolutely.
Well, without any further delay, Brittany, I want to give you the floor to take us through all this great information you share.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Steve. I hope Pam is feeling better, and thank you to Josh as well, everyone at Compression Care, for allowing me to be a part of this. Pediatric lymphedema is near and dear to my heart because, as mentioned, my daughter is a primary lymphedema patient. I am the founder and executive director of Brylan's Feet Foundation, which is the first and only nonprofit in the world specific to pediatric lymphedema. And I'm also the co-founder of Pediatric Lymphedema Alliance, which is our for-profit company that assists with continuing education classes as well as customizable bandaging kits, which I'll get into those resources shortly.
Great.
So let's dive in. So a little bit about my story. This is my little one when she was a baby. As you can tell, there's some puffiness on the top of her foot. Her right leg to her left leg looks a little bit different. So we noticed a swelling at her 1-month checkup. When she was born, she went home a completely healthy little baby. We had no questions or issues on her health. We ended up doing some genetic testing, which came back normal. And we really didn't have any answers for about 10 months. We went to 8 different doctors. I'm originally from Chicago, so we went to doctors there. We went to doctors where I'm at here in Arizona, and no one could tell us what was going on with our little girl. I sent her medical records out to a bunch of the different hospitals and clinics throughout the US, even internationally. And at 11 months, she was officially diagnosed at Boston Children's Hospital with infant onset primary lymphedema. We were very thankful for the diagnosis, but unfortunately, that was all we were given. We were told basically to go home, put her in tight socks, and we'd see you back in 2 years. This was all after the doctor basically
Whew.
explained, yes, basically explaining that this is a chronic progressive disease. She will have this for the rest of her life. And so to me, going home and doing nothing wasn't really an option. When we did get home and I started going to Google, which do not recommend, but I did, um, and seeing all the scary photos, I knew that we had to do something. But there were no resources for children with lymphedema. There were no CLTs that were willing to take on a case of an 11-month-old little girl. So we were really struggling. So through my own research and just scouring the internet, joining lymphedema Facebook groups specific for parents and asking them what they've done, talking to primary lymphedema patients that were now adults that had gone through it, asking them what their treatment plan was like. I created Brylan's treatment plan on my own and just did a lot of trial and error. Um, and we slowly started to see results. So I did end up finding an amazing CLT, Dr. Andrea Brennan, here that was willing to take her case on. So we started with complete decongestive therapy, daily compliance. She got into garments. She was bandaging nightly. She had used a pneumatic pump. And then our big thing was also her staying active. She was still a little girl, surrounded by three brothers that were very active. And so she thankfully fell in love with soccer just as I wanted her to. I'm a soccer coach and her soccer coach as well. And I've played my entire life, so I was very happy about that. But really staying active and pushing that successful management has to be done as long as they have access to proper care. So again, going through the research and trying to figure out resources for my daughter at this point, I learned there was no global consensus on pediatric protocols for lymphedema, which is a huge disadvantage for this patient population. Parents don't know where to look. Similar to me, I hear stories all the time where we called the clinic. Oh, they don't take kids until they're 8. We called the clinic. They don't take kids, period, until they're 18, which is just unacceptable. Early intervention is a key to successful management, and you can't get any earlier than a child. So why are we not treating them? And at bare minimum, they need some kind of starting point, and there really wasn't anything out there that was guiding them or giving them that information. So in 2018, I decided to start a nonprofit. And I thought, how hard could this be? It will just, it'll be a garment fund for children in the US, and um, it'll be easy. No problem. But through my Facebook groups and my connections of parents, not just in the US, but outside of the US, I was quickly contacted and said, well, how can you help us here? How can you help us there? So we transitioned pretty quickly to just being a garment fund. And so now we provide financial assistance and or access to custom garments, bandaging supplies and kits, virtual therapy sessions, in-person therapy sessions, surgical procedures, pneumatic pumps, and of course education, because we want to make sure that the caregiver and the parent understands how to properly care for their child. And to date, we are very proud to say that we have active recipients in 36 different countries around the world.
Wow, nice.
And these are some of our warriors from around the world. We have South Africa, Ukraine, Cyprus, Brazil, just all over. And all of these kiddos wouldn't have gotten any kind of treatment if it wasn't for Brylan's Feet Foundation.
That's great.
So this next slide, I did have a little video for you that shows one of our resources, one of our big resources, which probably most
We'll
people.
make sure the video ends up on the resource page. So anybody who
Perfect.
wants to
That
see.
would be great.
Yeah.
Just a little video about Camp Watchme, um, which is our summer camp that we host. The event started in 2019 with just 5 families. We kind of wanted to do a pilot program to see if it was something that families would be interested in, and it blew up. Um, we are the only camp in North America specific to pediatric lymphedema. What's really unique about our camp is, excuse me, each patient brings one parent or caregiver with them. So they have someone to bounce ideas off of, and a therapist come volunteer their time to extend all of their knowledge to the families. And every family is paired with one CLT. So you basically, instead of going to a clinic and having your CLT for 30 minutes, you get them for a full 5 days. And
Wow.
so you can ask all the questions. They're right there with you, living the ins and outs. And it's really unique for the therapist because they get to see you in all of the elements. They get to see how hard it is to bandage a kiddo at nighttime, or what the difficulties are when you wake up first thing in the morning. They're there for all of it. So they're getting a really unique aspect into their patient and this patient population. Um, the past 3 years, we have held 3 different sessions of camp. We have our first time session, which is obviously everyone that's never been there before and it's their first time. Then we have alumni, which is our second tier group, which have been before, but the education is a little bit different and a little bit more rigorous. And then we have our reunion group, which we kind of push a little bit more research information with them. And it's a little bit more laid back as far as the education is concerned because they've kind of
Yeah.
been through all of it. Anything new that we've come out with throughout the year, they get that information on. So we do have 3 different sessions, which is kind of nice to break it up. And, you're not getting the same information every single year that you come.
Yeah.
CLTs do not have to have pediatric experience. We actually encourage CLTs to come to camp that do not have pediatric experience because that's just putting more and more CLTs out in the world that didn't have it before, that are getting hands-on training at camp. And even though you're paired to one family, you most likely will treat pretty much every kid there because there's so much collaboration going on. Parents also get education and support group sessions where we get to share in our triumphs and our struggles and just talk about pretty much everything under the sun in dealing with a child with lymphedema. And of course, there's friendships made. These kids stay connected throughout the year. When they get together the next year, it's like they haven't skipped a beat. It's just such an amazing and beautiful thing to see. And then, of course, every year, no matter whether it's a CLT, a sponsor that comes and witnesses it, a kiddo, a parent, everyone says it is a life-changing experience. And then, as I mentioned, we also have Pediatric Lymphedema Alliance. My partner, Betty Westbrook, and I created this just as another avenue to help the community. We do sell bandaging kits. We were hearing from so many families that they would go on, whichever website, and they would order a lower limb bandaging kit and they would get all of this material. And they're like, what do I do with this? My child is 2.
It's probably 4 times as much as they need.
Correct. And wrong sizes. And so we're like, okay, light bulb moment. So we created bandaging kits just from what we've learned at camp, sizing. I have 4 children, so I kind of know how they grow and growth spurts and all of that. So they are modified by age and severity. So that's something that's really nice. You can also add individualized things if you need a little extra of something. We also have continuing education courses. So we have an 8-hour online course, and then we have a 24-hour in-person course. So the 8-hour online course I want to mention too is for CLTs, but it's actually anyone can have access to it. So I often offer it to parents who are just starting out. If there was a course that I could have taken when Brylan was first diagnosed that could tell me the ins and outs of how to treat her, I mean, that would have been a game changer and probably saved me a lot of time searching the internet. So we definitely wanted to make sure that that was accessible and available to everyone, not just to practitioners.
That's great.
And then to further things even more, and really create brighter futures for these kiddos, we are engaging in some groundbreaking research. This past summer at camp was our first year where we collabed with UT Health to do an imaging and genomics study. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't just say that. At
It
camp,
doesn't
and
come off the tongue easily.
it doesn't. So that was our first year doing that. It was very, very interesting for both the parents and the kids. And just another way, on top of the research, to give these families an idea of, okay, this is where this is getting stuck, or this is where we have to push fluid. This is where better flow is. So it was an amazing thing that we did at camp this summer. And then we also just had our research published. It's now open to everyone for twice daily complete decongestive therapy and reducing limb volume in children with lymphedema, a retrospective study. And we partnered with ATSU, Dr. David Doublestein. He's absolutely fantastic. And what we did was we basically used all of our information from the past 5 years at camp. And we took all of that information, because we do measurements every morning and every night, to see if our protocols were working. And at the time, we didn't really know what we were going to do with the information that we had, but we were able to turn it into research. And this is the first of its kind, proving that
It's a cool
complete
data set.
decongestive therapy works for kiddos. So we were very, very, very excited to have that come out just a couple months ago.
Nice.
This is my last slide. This is one that I always put on my presentations. These 3 little ones, unfortunately, are no longer with us. Each of them had lymphedema, and whether it was a cellulitis infection for 2 of them, where doctors just didn't understand and didn't treat them properly. The other one was more of a severe case, but I always want to put them on there in loving memory and just remind everyone that we can do better for these kids. There shouldn't be any more kids that pass away from lymphedema or complications from it. These kiddos matter, and we need to take better steps into helping them and creating better care for them.
Well, I think to that end, one of the things that I tried to organize, we get asked all the time, and Pam, my wife, is an RN by trade, and came to compression more. She's been fitting for probably I don't know, 18 years, 20 years, something like that. And over those years, we encounter a lot of pediatrics for generally 2 reasons. One is working with the burn unit at Vanderbilt. You get a lot of young children that have been in either like home accidents or various ways that they've had burns, and so we're doing a lot of burn, compression garments that are like silver lined for burns and things like that. But then we also have had kids over the years who are typically you'll get a few that are primary, and like Brylan, but we also get some that are in they're in accidents, or they have some sort of traumatic injury. We had one young gentleman, I think he was 8 when he came to us the first time. He's now, I think, close to he's probably in his late 20s now, but he was in a boating accident, and he he basically had a rope get caught around his leg, skinned his leg down, and he was only 8. And so for many, many years until he moved away, we were seeing him every, probably 4 to 6 months. And what we learned from that and others is that in the clinic and with garments, with kids, it tends to be finding a motivation to get them to want to use the garment, to wear the garments. And sometimes they're afraid of it. That, kids don't, I bet you've been through this with Brylan, where they don't want to look different. They don't want to have some reason to be called out. And so what Pam's developed over the years is just some various strategies around colors, patterns, and she had a really young little guy in the office not too recently, where they called it his Superman shirt, because he has to wear a torso garment pretty much forever. And so they were trying to come up with a way to make it feel like, mentally, like it's something that makes him better, not not lesser than. And so she does a lot with that young guy in the boating accident. When he got to high school, it was all about let's put him, because he's wearing a full leg garment, for the rest of his life. And so it's she would put it in his school colors because he played football, and and so finding ways to make it something that turns into a discussion point, a positive discussion point, as opposed to something that is troublesome to the kids. And we also, with really little kids, in particular, and Taylor, I think this is an answer to one of your questions. The Juzo makes, and you have to ask for this, but Juzo in Germany has these little characters, and they put these little character patches on the garments. And so you can pick, there's a whole, I don't know, there's probably a dozen of them you can pick. There's a dinosaur, and there's a dog and a cat and whatever. And she has had good luck, putting the animals on there for really little kids. Obviously, when they hit Brylan's age now and beyond, they're, it's more like what's your soccer team's color, and ways that you can make it interesting and make it something that allows them to express themselves. Sometimes, I think, is another good way to do it. And I think with pumps, it's we work with here at Compression Care. We work with both Medi and we also work with I'm blanking on it. We work with 2 different manufacturers, and the other one, and I'll get you the name of it, but they do offer the ability to build custom garments, and nobody that I know sells garments for pumps in a pediatric size. And so finding somebody who will do custom, because what I find is with pediatrics, almost everything ends up being custom, especially when they're little. Once they hit tween and teen years, sometimes you can get them into an off the shelf kind of a size, but with infants and toddlers, it's all, everything is custom, and they're growing so fast. Like, it's not even once a year. It's got to be every, 6 months, every 4 months. I find that the insurance situation becomes really important, because when you're having to replace garments that often, even the insurance companies are not used to, they don't consider that, well, this person grew out of this garment. It has a useful life of a year. Well, okay, but tell that to the child who grew out of it. And so we spend a lot of time, dealing with getting authorizations and things like that. And and they're just not, the system is not well designed to absorb kids. And so I think that definitely we end up often getting creative on things. And it's not uncommon that Pam will start in an early phase, not with burns, but in an early phase with lymphedema. With wraps and reduction kits, things that you can cut down, and things that it's not uncommon to have to build something. And like you say, Brittany, bandaging, it's all sixes and eights, and you're not doing 10s and 12s and large 12s and whatever. But I think that what we have found over the years is that it starts with getting a rapport going with the kids when you have them, because if you can make it fun, or you can at least make it not another medical visit, then you're going to get a lot more cooperation, and then it becomes about, okay, how are we going to get you to wear this? And that's where getting creative about patterns and colors and finding whatever is going to motivate children to be compliant. We have had more times than I would like to say. We've had very little, like infant toddler burn patients who are needing head and neck garments, and it's really, really hard. And so it does require, I think, often you have to have a real heart for, helping kids to really want to dive into it. And I can understand why some clinics might have apprehension about it, because it's not for everybody. And I love what you're doing with the camp, because it really kind of creates people who build an understanding and build an understanding of how to interact with kids. And I know that my wife just kind of gets down on the floor, and it gets down to their level. That's the first move she makes, because she's trying to get them to engage and not be, some of them are very scared. Some of them are very intimidated. Some of them are just flat out tired of being poked and prodded, and whatever brought them to the point of having lymphedema, they're sick of it. And so you have to somehow reinvent, you certainly can't treat a 4-year-old the way you would treat a 40-year-old. And
no, absolutely.
It's a definite thing. And if anybody has specific questions about those kinds of, I can, and Taylor, I will get you, hang on, because at the end here, I'll look up that pump info. It's biocompression. Thank you. Goodness gracious. I've had a long day.
It's okay. It's okay. You got there.
Biocompression, and we can get custom garments. And so, when you need things that are teeny tiny, particularly, and I believe that's how we solve that. So between being creative with the manufacturers, and I will say we've over the years used Juzo the most for this, because they've just had the greatest willingness to, you can call them up and say, wow, I've got a really crazy situation here. And they look at that as a fun challenge. They want to figure that out. And I'm not saying that other manufacturers wouldn't do that, but I know that there are just people we've established a rapport with at Juzo in particular, where they love a challenge like that, and they want to dig in and try to find a solution. And there have been any number of people, and I think it's a matter of just kind of building up a support structure for you as a therapist to be like, where can I refer this patient that they're going to get connected into somebody who really feels as strongly about it as I do. And the pediatric ones are, it's heartbreaking, your slide with kids that have been lost over this. It's like I don't know, 20 years ago or so, when we started doing compression, it was 50-50 whether even a physician knew what it was. And so it was very common that you could show a physician lymphedema and they'd be like, that's what that is?
Mm-hmm.
And luckily through a lot of education and things, um, physicians are much better at pointing it, at least identifying it or knowing what to do when somebody presents with a lot of swelling. They know I've got to get this person over to a physical therapist for evaluation, because the at least they're just faster on the draw with getting the patient referred out to figure out what's going on. And so I think that whenever you have an opportunity around pediatrics, I would encourage people to take it, because it's a really great opportunity to grow professionally, and the kids are when it works, like it's even more rewarding than any other patient that would walk in today. It's great.
I would 100% agree with that. And
Um,
I think that, to Taylor's questions, as far as a manufacturer for a PEDS garment, Brylan's Feet works with all of them. It's really what can you get them in that they will wear. Sometimes it's about color, sometimes it's about having a character on it. At camp, even as far as the bandages are concerned, we've tie-dyed bandages so that their outer layer has some color to it, or they put
yeah,
stickers on it, or what have you. It's really making sure that they stay compliant in it. As mentioned, we've worked with all the manufacturers. Our biggest one is Jobs, but Medi and Juzo have been phenomenal. And again, I can't say enough about all of them because they're all in it for the right reasons. Specifically with Brylan's Feet, they see our vision and they see what a need is for the pediatric population. For pumps, we really encourage pumps for kiddos through Brylan's Feet if they're above 4 years old. Maybe 3, depending on if they can tolerate sitting there for an extended amount of time. Brylan's first pump was a LymphaPress pump. She used an adult small and we made it work. And then I know that they were doing custom ones for a bit. And then we just actually had our prototype set out through Eros Medical for pediatric sizing for pumps. So we're hoping to get that launched soon. So there's a plethora, again, whether it's bandages, garments, pumps, what have you, it's getting them to be compliant. And for anyone who is watching and thinks, oh, I only do adults, I'm only going to treat this way, it's the same thing. The fundamentals are the same. You're just doing it on a littler body. And what we have seen through the thousands of kids that we've supported, whether through camp or internationally or in the US, the earlier the intervention, the better. Brylan started her therapy when she was 11 months old. She didn't know any different. So to her, doing this every day is her normal. She doesn't
yeah,
know anything different. And I think that's definitely helped her moving forward. For the kiddos that are diagnosed at a later age, my heart breaks for them because I know the struggle of seeing a kiddo at the age of 13, like living their whole life, quote unquote normal without swelling, and then all of a sudden getting swelling and being like, what? I have to wear a garment and I have to bandage and I have to do this MLD thing. And
yeah.
this is awful.
It's a lot.
So,
Yeah.
but as going through all of this, there are resources out there. Should any therapist have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Brylan's Feet. Come join us at camp. Come see what we're all about. If you can get yourself to Minneapolis, St. Paul International Airport this summer, we are still looking for therapists. We shuttle you guys to and from the camp. All the information is on our website if you are interested, or you can shoot us an email. But yeah, it's a life-changing experience. So if you've not had any experience with a pediatric patient, strongly encourage you to come alongside us and see what it's all about.
Well, thank you so much, Brittany, for being here and sharing all this. I apologize that Pam's indisposed, but we will certainly have some follow-ups and do some more content specific to pediatrics. I think based on there's clearly interest in it, and it's an area that a lot of people just don't understand fully enough, and so we'll keep working at it.
Appreciate it.
And for those of you who are following along in the chat, there's a link to the Microsoft Teams virtual lounge. You're welcome to jump over there if you have more questions, and if you have follow-up questions specific to chat, or specific to pediatrics, and you would like Pam to specifically follow up with you, she's happy to do that, and we'll make sure that we get that request to her, and so that she can follow up here real soon. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And this QR code on the screen right now will get you to the resources page where all of these slides and everything else, all the resources are. You can also complete a brief quiz and get a certificate of completion and submit this as part of your a request to your accreditor for CE. And we look forward to seeing you. We got a couple more sessions left this afternoon, but we are really grateful that you've been part of Big Day of Training. One of, I guess, nearly 500 therapists that have participated today. So really appreciate that. Excited to have you and glad that we could do this. Thanks again, Brittany.
Thank you.